the way the ASMR comments work is they critique each other's work. They're like, back away from the mic next time, or like make sure that your like she'll be like writing or whatever. Make sure that the paper's extra dry.
So
make sure the paper's extra dry. Who's got wet paper?
I like my paper soaked.
Super wet.
Super.
I don't like it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Meet Cute, the podcast that is about all things.
Start again. What are you doing?
Hey guys!
Oh, okay, go ahead, Eddie.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Meet Cute, the podcast that is about all things romantic comedies, but mostly the bad ones. I am Edward.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Zach. And this is our 30th episode.
30.
We did 30. Our podcast is about to dye its hair, go back to school for its real estate license,
Ooh.
move out of the apartment it shares with its long-term boyfriend, and just go through that crisis on its own. Our podcast
But you know what? Our podcast is going to put in the shins. It's
Yeah.
going to crank that up, and it's going to lie on the couch and
Our
just
podcast is going
feel.
to take a solo trip to Asia
Oh,
and
yeah.
find themselves
Oh.
in meditation.
Our podcast is growing a beard. I'm putting it out there.
And it's going to look
Oh,
good.
yeah.
It's going to be a really good
Not
beard.
great, but it's salt and pepper, so it looks nice.
Yeah, our podcast is going to take up racquetball every Tuesday evening.
Potentially reconsider its writing career.
Oh my God!
Oh, what the fuck?
Hello, everybody.
Oh, my God.
I felt it necessary to drop in there.
Oh my God.
We had at least 6 more jokes in the docket, but we're too shaken up.
I can digress.
Edward, please introduce our guest.
All right. Oh, gosh. Well, I swear we didn't have anyone here before that. The chair just appeared, but inside it sits a good friend to you and an okay friend to me.
Just okay.
She's a comedian. She's an actress. She was in a Geico commercial recently.
Baby. Yeah.
Madison.
Hi.
Tell us
That's
more.
me.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you guys for having me on your 30th episode. I feel very honored.
Also, remind me how to pronounce your last name. I want to...
Well,
Yeah.
I go by Madison Coppola, but if Coppola does roll off your tongue, then I will not slap you. I will just kind of say in my head that's not right, but
Wait, then I've been saying
I
it
will
wrong
go on.
for a while.
No, it's okay, because everybody is always like, oh, are you related to Francis Ford Coppola?
Right.
And then I'll do like a little joke. I'll be like, oh, Uncle Frank. And then they won't laugh, but it'll...
Because they'll be like, oh, yeah,
but
we
then
got it
I'll-
right.
then I'll
I
be
would
I'll be
laugh. I
good one.
like that.
Right?
That's funny.
Well, I think because some people have to think, they're like, who the hell's Frank? We weren't talking about... So you know what I mean?
Sure.
You've been hanging out with
I
morons.
know. I know.
I don't get the intricacies of your humor.
I like it, though. Madison, do you like romantic comedies in general?
Do I? I live for romantic comedies. I used to be very ashamed of it, you know, because I would find myself like not like I watched a lot of like critically acclaimed movies when I was older. I feel like a good portion of my life was, I don't want to say wasted, but spent on watching ridiculous rom-coms that like I would vouch for when people would be like, those aren't good.
Right.
I would say, what do you mean? And here we are. So I've become a big fan.
You're on the right side of history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like personally, I went through a rom-com thing, you know, like my young teens, and then when I like knew I was going to go to school for like a BFA in acting and stuff, I was like, it's time for me to get serious about the entertainment I'm watching. And so I started like back when Netflix was like mail-in, I was only watching like critically acclaimed films. Like I remember being in my
nothing but
dorm
foreign
room
films,
watching
yeah.
La Vie en Rose, and I was like, I am culture. And now I don't care. I hate most Oscar films. I'm like, let's just have some dumb fun and escapism, and that's who I am.
I feel very bad because it normally the Oscar season goes like this, where it'll come up to the Oscars and I'll be like, oh wow, that was fast. And at this point, I've said almost about every single Oscar nominated movie, oh, I gotta see that. And then the Oscars will happen, and then like I'll slowly knock down those pegs like the months after, because I'll feel really inspired, you know, cry a lot at the speeches. I want to be that. But yeah, that's normally how that goes. But I feel like I was raised in a lot of black and white movies, so like I was raised on a lot of the OG rom-coms.
Wow.
And then I guess I just kind of transitioned to early 2000s, late 90s rom-coms, and that was it for me. Honestly, that was all the critically acclaimed movies I needed in my life.
What's with the way they kiss in those old rom-coms?
My boyfriend and I like to pretend like we are in an old black and white movie, and it's not even like a make out. It's they like lock onto each other's lips and like move their head around a couple times, and then they say things like. Or it'll be like shortly after a slap in the face. Like she'll slap him and be like, "How dare you? Don't touch me!" And he'll be like, "Oh, but I love you." And then they'll just kind of like move their heads around while their lips are touching.
Yeah, they're like two Muppets when you see them.
And when I say my boyfriend and I like to do that, it's not like for pleasure. It's mostly for the giggles. But
No, it's for pleasure. We've seen your blog.
He did ask me to shout him out. He did ask for a shout out, so that's what you get, babe.
That's his name. He's just boyfriend.
No.
Okay.
Cut that part.
Yeah. He has no name. He'll get one after we date for like a good year.
Kermit.
Yeah, like a Muppet.
I gotta go.
My boyfriend is actually a handheld puppet. It's just, I made him myself.
Yeah, quit bragging. What are just like if you can rattle them off? What are some of your favorite rom-coms? And if today's is one, you can just say today's.
Yes. Okay. So if I can say today's,
say it.
13 going on 30 is probably hands down one of my favorite rom-coms. But I will say, everybody loves a good classic Drew Barrymore, and I will say, although Never Been Kissed is definitely up there, I have to say 50 First Dates is probably the one I've watched the most.
Right.
Solely for the montage of where they had their first kisses, and you just hear Drew Barrymore every single time just go, "There's nothing like a first kiss." Just every single time, and it gets me. You know, I get like really hazy-eyed. And
50 First Dates it's on our list. It'll be
pretty
coming down.
dark
It's
at times.
So good though.
It's solid, yeah.
Yes.
And may I say, Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Ooh, hubba bubba.
Hot
cheeks.
But also, not even a little.
I do love the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh,
if you want to consider that a rom-com.
I'm not sure, like,
I don't know.
where it falls. I don't know.
Right.
Now that we're talking about this, I think if the lead of 40-Year-Old Virgin were a girl, people would say it were a rom-com.
I was literally just about to say the same thing. Wow.
Yeah, but because he's a man, I think we're like, oh, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But if it were a girl, it would be a rom-com, even though a lot of movies that I think people consider rom-coms aren't. Like,
Right.
13 going on 30, even, we're going to talk about that, but even that, I think, skews a little less rom and more just, like, coming of, like, age in a way, or, like, self-discovery. Like, She's the Man, like, I don't see it as a rom-com. I see that as, like,
that's a
self,
yeah.
self-empowering kind of movie. Or,
Well,
like, discovering yourself.
The first feature film I ever did, it was very interesting. It is a movie that is now on Hulu. I'm not going to say the name of it just yet, but it's supposed to be like it's like was up there with like rom-coms and coming of age, but it's all about boys, like a group of boys growing up in the 80s, and I guess it was considered more of a coming of age film than a rom-com, but there were topless women in it.
Is that what
And
made
a lot
it
of
rom-com?
laughs.
All
So
right, rom-com.
I guess if we like rom-coms, it must have topless women.
So Sandlot's
Oh, those
a rom-com.
boobs! Count me in. It's romantic.
My heart's a thumping.
So you mentioned what this take that from the top.
Much better.
Thank you, 5. You mentioned what this week's film is. It is 13 going on 30.
Spider-Man 3.
We thought... No, Edward, did you do Spider-Man 3?
Oh, gosh.
The
This
30
whole
universe.
time, oh, no.
You were like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I mean, it's romantic.
He's got like a stack of notes, and it's not for this film.
But I'm just going to give them anyway.
But we thought, 30th episode, 13 going on 30. Those are that's all. You get it.
13 is 30-letter number.
Yeah, the number 23 starring Jim Carrey.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Secret Window.
You guys ever, real quick, have you guys ever seen that?
Yes.
What a stupid movie.
Okay.
Was that
all
Stephen
right,
King
all
or
right,
was it?
all right.
Wait, did you like it?
Now I feel even more attacked. Wait, it was the number 23, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw it. No, okay. Here I am looking back on my life, the ripe age of 25. Yes, bad movie. I think Jim Carrey is a fantastic series actor. I will vouch.
Oh, sure.
But all that movie did was like make me just like find the number 23 in everything I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just ridiculous. And then it got so ridiculous to the point where I just had to forget about it. And that's what that movie did.
That's what that movie intended to do.
And then you just forget about it until moments like this when
Yeah.
someone brings it up.
And then you're like, oh yeah, I don't remember what it was about, but it was.
And now I'm
that
gonna have
existed.
a week where all I see is the number 23, and
I have never heard of this movie, so this feels
Oh,
crazy
really?
right now.
It's a real movie.
It's an action thriller. It's like sci-fi
like
where
a little horror. It's
where somebody's like, the number 23 is connected to everything, and then like he just goes crazy.
And I remember the big thing I remember is Jim Carrey. It's a very dramatic role, and he's at like a work party, and this drunk woman comes up and goes, "Do you want to meet me in the little bitches room?" and Jim Carrey says,
yes.
Jim Carrey says, it almost sounded like he messed up the line. He goes, "I would meet you if you were the last bitch on earth." I was like, this is the worst.
I feel like that's like often how my like bar interactions would go when I would hit on people. You would meet me in the little bitches room. I'm gonna use that next time.
Well,
It's an awful line. So I don't,
It didn't work then, so it won't work now.
well, we did not talk about whatever this mysterious number 23 movie is. We are talking about
The number 30.
13 going on 30, the
Yes.
2004 romantic comedy in some countries known as Suddenly 30. Fun fact.
suddenly
30.
Oh my god, that's very wow.
This movie was directed by Gary Winnick. I don't know who this is. Does
You know,
anyone?
Gary.
Click on the thing.
Okay.
It sounds familiar enough that
Pieces of April and November.
Sorry, Pieces of April. And
We
Pieces
have
of
no
November.
other month.
November,
The
or-
only numbers in this man's life is 13 and 30, and the
30
only months.
and-
Oh, he passed away.
He did pass away. He was
Oh, now I feel
49. Now I feel bad.
We can cut this.
we'll cut this
part.
part.
He also directed Letters to Juliet and Bride Wars. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Bride
Oh, and the
Wars.
live action remake of Charlotte's Web.
Oh.
So he had some cuties. He had some cute ones.
All right.
All right.
He puts the cute in meet cute.
No, he sure does. So I love
Very.
this movie. Can we just kind of quickly recap the film as best as we can? I don't have this is for you guys. I don't have like a prepped.
Oh,
Thing.
I think I can pull it out of my sleeve real
Oh,
quick.
do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so there's this 13-year-old girl named Jenna, right? So she's like
Gonna rink.
Jenna Rank. Oh, yeah. So she's in high school. She's like, who am I, right?
She's in middle school, right? 13?
Probably
I
eighth
guess
grade.
so, yeah. And
I
so
don't know anymore.
Well, her best friend Maddie, and I only remember that because my nickname is Maddie.
Aw.
And he's like this like pudgy kid, and they're both kind of outcasts, but not really. They would definitely do theater. I'm pretty sure they are like theater kids. Anyway, she wants to like host a party and get these popular girls to like her, and she has this party, and this is honestly something every 13-year-old girl faces, where she's like,
Oh,
do
yeah.
I am I myself, and like with the risk of these people possibly not liking me, or do I just kind of go out of my way to get these people to like me? So that's what she does.
Oh, yeah.
She pads her bra, she like puts on too much makeup, and she has this party in the basement. And the popular girl, her name escapes me.
Tom Tom.
Tom Tom. I was going to say it starts with the T. Tom Tom. She's like, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. And this is like right after the hot popular guy arrives.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby,
Eric-
Billy,
Eric,
something
Bobby.
generic.
I think it's Chris.
Chris.
Probably
Chris
Chris.
Grundy.
Yeah,
No, I'm making that up.
Chris.
I'm confusing that with Riverdale.
Well, Chris, he's got like the windswept hair. He like arrives in the slow motion car or whatever. He gets out and he comes in, and Tom Tom is like, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. Jenna, you go first. And basically she blindfolds her and puts her in her own closet and shuts the door. And she's like, come on, guys, let's go to like my house for whatever fun, cool things.
Yes.
And they all leave. And Maddie he comes over with his little instrument. He's gonna play everybody a song.
Well, he has like a keytar.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
so
a
cute.
keytar. And they're like, oh, Jenna's waiting in the closet. And while he like opens it and he like goes in to kiss her and she's like, oh, Chris. And he's like, wait, it's not Chris, it's Matt. And she's like, what? Where is everybody? Basically in this fit of rage, she slams the door and locks him out, and she's in her she's in this like toy closet.
Yes.
And I guess there is a
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yes.
that's fine. This is previously her best friend Maddie, for her birthday, gave her this dream house that he handmade that was like all her favorite things. It looked like the home she wants one day, and he blew some like 80s like pixie
store
dust
brand
on it.
wish
Yeah.
dust.
Wish dust.
Yeah.
And she loves it, but she wants to hide it because she's a little embarrassed. So it's in that toy closet where she goes in.
Essential plot.
Yes.
Essential part I forgot.
Gets mad, and she's like, oh, I wish I were 30. I wish I were 30. And the pixie dust falls.
30, flirty, and thriving.
Yes.
30, flirty, and
thriving.
thriving. And then she wakes up and she is a fully grown 30-year-old woman.
Dare we say?
In the early
30.
2000s.
In the
Flirty.
early 2000s.
And thriving.
Thriving, but with the mind of a 13-year-old. So
Yes.
as you can guess, it unfolded a little messy.
Yes.
What?
And what a 30-year-old she is. She's got like the perfect job. She's a magazine editor. She is friends with Tom Tom. They're still like best friends, but she goes by Lucy. She's Judy Greer.
America's
love
sweetheart, Judy
her.
Greer.
But she's freaking out about her new like life. So all she wants to do is find Maddie. So she finds Maddie. He's Mark Ruffalo. He's a photographer.
And she is.
And they are not friends.
Oh, no,
No.
not anymore. She is the editor of Poise magazine, which was her favorite magazine as a kid, and she's dating a hockey player.
The
Very funny
dream.
hockey player, by
Yeah.
the way.
I believe this movie actually like kind of turned me on to hockey players a little bit. Like I was like, oh, these
We
are the
don't even
guys I
see
should
him
be
play
trying to.
Listen, I come from a
Right.
hockey family, so I've like that's always been on like the hockey players are hot. They've got
Something
the good
about
hair.
missing teeth and
Yeah.
just
See, I
Hockey
really-
broken
players are hot.
bones.
I didn't think this guy was hot at all. I was like, I guess we don't agree on a lot
No,
of
he
things.
looked like Lord Farquhar, but like with blonde hair
yeah,
and
he
taller.
was bad. I don't
Yeah, but
him.
like TJ Oshie, like count me in, baby.
And then when he did that striptease to Ice Ice Baby,
That's so funny.
that's yeah, and it's when Jennifer Garner experiences anything sexually related for the first time.
Anyway.
So she works at this magazine. She just wants to find Maddie. She does. She finds out that she wasn't a good person for the past 17 years. That she like abandoned Maddie. Basically, that was the last time they talked at her birthday party, and she became one of the popular girls, and she was the prom queen, and now she's living this fabulous life, but is just trying to like piece together the memories. One of the main plots is like worky is that there's this other magazine called Sparkle
Oh my god,
that's like
it's Us and People. That's
Yes.
exactly what it
Yeah.
is.
yeah.
they're like robbing like layouts and stories from them. So
I've
they
been
need to
told that
rebrand.
I've been told that I look a lot like the editor of the other magazine of Sparkle.
Oh, that woman who was just
So it
like,
looks
hey,
like-
my
for
magazine's
those
doing
of you
great. Yours is
listening,
bad.
for those of you listening who've never seen me or heard of me, I get it. But also,
Understandable, but
I want you to picture Miss Frizzle with brown hair with a Cruella de Vil gray streak. But I do apparently look like this woman who's
Great.
just like, she's like pinned as like the annoying enemy who's not the real enemy, but like
No.
they have this line where they're like, do you want to put some crab in your purse for later? And I was like, oh, that like, I don't know why that hurts so much, but I feel really closely connected to this woman who's going to put crab in her purse for later because I would do that.
anyway.
Sorry,
No, it's
continue.
good.
I digress.
So Sparkle's like stealing shit from them, and Poise needs to rebrand. Now the new Jenna, who's just 13-year-old Jenna trapped in a 30-year-old body, is like, I got this, and looks at her old yearbook pictures, and she's like, oh my god, Maddie was such a good photographer. Let's do this whole new layout that's just like about regular everyday people, and it's this really like moving layout, whatever. Maddie and her reconnect through various montages and various
Razzles.
scenes and razzles. They bond over razzles and just
Razzle
have this
Red.
whole like nostalgic
That was a real
getting
candy,
together.
right?
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
real.
There was like a huge
still is real.
upsale. There was a huge upsale in Razzles after that
makes
movie.
sense.
That makes so much sense because I totally remember being in Lake George with my best friend Melissa, like in a tent, like eating razzles because of this movie.
And then you're like, the whole point was to eat them, chew them up, and then stick your tongue out and be like, Razzle Red.
Yep.
And then that was it.
Ooh.
Is my tongue red? Razzle red.
She does that. She's like, what color is my tongue? And imagine if he was just like, black.
Oh my God.
It's so
He
long.
just turns into an episode of Haunting of Hill House.
Are you okay?
Has this been Tar the whole time?
So Jenna and Maddie are kind of like falling in love again, but Maddie's engaged to a woman.
Wendy.
A woman.
A woman.
She's a weather woman named
Yeah.
Wendy, but it sounds like Wendy, but her name's Wendy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it now. Okay.
And
Fun.
she's super nice.
Yeah, she's not the villain of this
nice.
film at
No.
all. But they're reconnecting. And what else happens? She pitches this layout. Everybody loves it. She's becoming this like changed good person
With Maddie's photos.
with Maddie's
Right,
photos. They're totally bonding. So cute. We find out that Lucy, aka Tom, aka Judy Greer, like fucking hates Jenna and is actually
AKA
like
backstabbing bitch.
is a backstabbing bitch.
She has not changed since her
Yeah,
high school days.
Exactly.
No.
Jenna's just trying to like correct everything that she assumes went wrong in
Pick
her
up
past
the pieces.
17 years. Yeah, and become
Like
the
30-year-olds
good
do.
person. Exactly. Become a good person again.
But also try to figure out how to get back to being 13.
Yeah. But what happens? Judy Greer goes through Jenna's desk and sees that she has checks from Sparkle and that Jenna was the person leaking information all along to this other magazine.
Twist.
Yeah, so Judy Greer is like, bitch, I can do that too. And steals the yearbook magazine thing, the revolutionary thing, and goes to the new company. And Jenna's career is ruined now. And also Mark Ruffalo's like, yeah, I can't marry you. You know, we can't just redo the last 17 years. And she pulls the dream house again out of Matt gives it back to her. Maddie still has it and gives it back to her. And she kind of just like sits with it and then wakes up the next morning.
Sits with it
Yeah.
at his wedding.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is
Which is like
heartbreaking.
at his childhood home.
yes,
which is,
how she gets the dream
Yeah.
house again.
And the wind just blows and the dust flies up into the air.
Yeah.
And,
She
and then
snorts
she
it.
wakes up. She's just, and
And
then it
she
turns into that
rails
scene from The
that
Departed
glitter.
where he's like, just throws it on the table.
I was going to say she wakes up 47.
She's like, shit,
Like, fuck.
not again.
No, that's not what happens. She wakes up back in the closet again, hearing Maddie come in, and the door
So
busts
much,
open,
yeah.
and she just kisses him, and then cut to it's them getting
They're
married,
their
back
wedding
to their
day.
30s.
And
And
they
it's
both
so
look
nice.
happy. I noticed one thing is that first time in their 30s, they live in New York and they are miserable. Second time they do it all over again, they are not living in New York.
Yeah, they're in the suburbs with a real
They
house
live, what,
somewhere.
upstate?
and they look
I don't
like
know.
they've done everything right.
They have the pink dream house that Maddie made.
yeah.
Yeah, so sweet.
And,
Wait, who is the pop star, rock star that she was obsessed with that sang Jesse's Girl?
Rick Springfield.
Rick
Springfield.
Springfield. That's what I specifically remember about this dollhouse that he made was like there's just Rick Springfield all over the place, and then there's
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's like looking at her, she's like taking a bath, and then there's like a picture of Maddie, and he's like pointing his finger out with like really like
Yeah.
like
Making sure
concerned
Rick
look on his
Springfield
face.
doesn't get too handsy.
Doesn't get frisky with a 13-year-old. Yikes.
Man, and that's the movie, but there's so much to it. I love this movie. What are standouts for you guys in this movie?
Marsha DeBonis.
Marsha DeBonis.
I will start
Who is that?
with that. She is Jenna's secretary who is
Yeah.
like
Oh, she's great.
really, she was just in Orange is the New Black.
Yeah,
like
she's a
that's,
New York
and
theater
I hate,
actress, and she's a delight.
I hate
in
saying
everything.
like that, like Orange is the New Black to get people to be like, oh, her,
What is
she
because she's
in?
been in so many other things.
Who is she in that, rather?
She is she does like a radio show. And she's the one who like gets shanked in the prison in like in the most recent season.
was that we didn't see the
Oh,
most
we
recent
haven't watched the
season.
most recent
Oh,
season
Well,
yet.
spoilers.
It's okay, it's okay.
It's
Yes,
fine.
um,
I will
she's-
watch
haven't
now.
seen
It's great, but she is a New York stage actress,
Yeah,
and she was
did
just
something at Second Stage.
recently
She
in
was-
Mary Page Marlowe at
Right.
Second Stage, and Ed and I, you know, being the little ticket sellers that we are, are fortunate enough to mingle with the actors as they ask, "Can you open the door, please?" and like my curly hair is something that is a conversation starter, and she too has curly hair like mine, and we had a good like 5-minute conversation one day,
Aw.
like through this like I'm pretty sure it's bulletproof glass, like
Like a ticket
and we're like
proof.
shouting, we're like. She's like, what product do you use? I'm like, Diva Curl. She was like, oh, yeah, no, I use something different. And then we're at a standstill. No, she's very sweet, a very talented actress.
Very funny.
Very, I don't want to say underrated because I think that everybody that knows her work loves her work. But she definitely...
Underrated for the rest of America.
I love her. She has, I think, one of my favorite character developments in that whole film.
Yeah.
She starts off like... I guess from the old Jenna, the Jenna, the bad Jenna.
Yeah.
She like, I think like tortured her secretary into being a cowering mess. And then as Jenna becomes a better person, she becomes close, actually like really good friends with her secretary. And then she becomes like this, like she like lets her hair down. Like I remember she does like the first times that you see her, she has like her hair in a low pony. And then at the end, it's like all like open. She's like a little clip in it. I'm like,
oh yeah,
you know, gotta look at the hair when it comes to character development.
I love that character.
She was great.
Just a sweet little addition.
Yeah, she was excellent. And I just thought like my biggest plus is that it was so funny the whole time.
It's so
like,
funny.
Legitimately
quick humor.
Really good.
Yeah.
Just like
it's humor for those who grew up in the 80s.
It manages to both be nostalgic for the 80s and for the early 2000s now that we're watching it like
It
later.
is a staple to that, like the fashion is that
seriously.
one montage where this is also something that stood out, was the one montage where she is getting ready in her big closet, and like a huge staple for her is she has boobs.
Yes.
And look, yeah, it's like a haha thing, but like as a young woman at the age of 13, you get really, you guys can agree, the men can agree, you get very
We're both there.
excited when you are able to like hold, you know, your womanly parts in both hands. And you're like, wow, they're here. They're here to stay.
I love that you were excited by that. I was horrified and truly like ashamed. I was not excited to be like an older person. I was not at all. Like I remember I was like, no, this cannot be happening.
Harlot. I was a 13-year-old harlot. You'll find out from my facts later though.
I speaking of like I don't want to say speaking of boobs, but one of the lines that has to do with it is directed at this character. I love the neighbor, like a
So
Becky?
good.
she's like I don't know, but she's like the 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That Jennifer Garner
Her name's
befriends.
Becky.
Yeah, she's
Becky.
like, I'm 13, and Jennifer Garner's like, me too.
Me too.
Do you like my dress?
Yeah.
It's got these incredible boobs to fill it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was just a fun little thing that kept popping up, and like when you hear like Jennifer Garner explaining like why she's upset about something, and then it cuts to like she's talking to the kind of the reveal.
One of my favorite scenes is the Love is a Battlefield scene.
Yeah.
This is where she had previously befriended the 13-year-old in her building, and then she's having a sleepover with all of the 13-year-old girls that I guess are friends with Becky, and they are lip syncing to Love is a Battlefield and trying on all
probably
her
never
nice
heard
clothes.
that song before.
Oh, so
I remember
good.
that the first montage before she met Becky was the first time I had ever heard Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody,"
Whoa.
because that montage like got me like really excited. And now, as like 5 years in the making, approaching 30, I still get ready. Like before going out to Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody," because it just gets me really excited because I feel like I might just go to a work party where I get to do Thriller across the dance floor.
Such a good
Great scene. Great scene.
The scene where Jenna's at this dud party for her magazine. They're like, we need to save this party. She's like, if only we could play music that wasn't just like repetitive droning like like early 2000s club music.
Can you give us a few more seconds of it?
So like that.
I think we were a lot better than some of the crap that was bumped out.
Is this a band podcast?
I think we found the band, guys.
She has the DJ put on Thriller and starts doing the dance, and Mark Ruffalo happens to be there because she like invited him, and Mark Ruffalo joins, and it's the two of them doing Thriller, and then eventually the whole party starts doing Thriller. What a great scene.
Yeah, and the boss gets in on it, he does the moonwalk.
Oh, hell yeah. Andy Serkis.
And Tom is so upset.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Cool.
Tom's having a great time. Never mind. She's having a great time. But the other woman that I am compared to a lot.
You're upset.
Your character.
You yourself, Crab Lady.
Crab Lady.
Was pissed. one comment is that Mark Ruffalo really gets down in this scene.
Oh yeah.
I didn't remember how into the dancing Mark Ruffalo was.
I like Mark Ruffalo so much.
too.
I met him once.
Ooh.
Is he so sweet?
I was an extra in the movie Revolutionary Road.
Why
it
are you
wasn't
questioning
it because because there's the two that sound very the same. I think it's the Revolution Road with Kate Winslet.
No, Revolutionary Road is
Okay,
a
never
movie.
mind. That's
You're thinking of Reservation.
Reservation Road. Okay, I was in it. Apparently, I remember they they called for a bunch of young extras, and my community theater hooked it up. Kurt and Colin Stanford, they're great. they're like,
Shout
they're
out.
like, yo,
Shout
we
out to
need
Kurt and Colin.
kids. We need kids to come up to Playland. No, not Playland. Lake Compounds. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Zach and I
It's
have
like-
been there.
Oh, it's so great. But
Very
they
fun.
rented out Lake Compounds in the middle of October, and they just had us. I guess they were there's a 2-minute amusement park scene that they had us do run the whole day. Sorry, I'm trying to burp, but it's not coming out. You can edit that later.
Just do it straight on the mic.
But yeah, so they filmed in Lake Compounds, and all of us were the extras. And that was my first real film gig. I didn't know how one would react around celebrities, but my track was if you've never been an extra, basically the guy on set is okay, so when that person gets to that lamppost, you walk from here to there, and that's your track, and then somebody else is walking based off of you. And I guess Mark Ruffalo's cue was off of my walking, and so
I'm so jealous right
I
now.
had to pass him, and I was 12. I was I did not. I just remember the first take we did. He walked right past me, and I think I had seen this movie, and that's how I knew who he was. And I just was gawking as he walked past, and then shortly after, one of the guys just got on a megaphone and was please don't look at the talent when we're filming, don't point at the talent, and I was just kind of shameless. But I remember he was jokingly, he had a prop hot dog in his hand, and he was you want a hot dog? And I was no, I ate. Yeah, met him, great guy.
I feel like he has to be so sweet.
Probably.
And the day we watched this was a double feature because later
Yes.
that night we watched Thor Ragnarok.
Hey,
Yes.
it's the good one.
Oh.
So it was the Ruffalo Fest 2019, if you will.
Ruffalo Fest.
Yeah, I could always use a Ruffalo fest. I'm really
Oh my gosh.
as I get older, I'm really into Mark Ruffalo, guys.
OG Hulk.
We're all turning into our
OG
moms.
Hulk is great.
Yeah, my aunt is in love with Mark Ruffalo, and as I get older, I'm I think I get it.
Anything else that really sticks out to you guys? Not to spoil anything. I mean, we do have, I'm sure, really minute critiques, but I don't have too much. I liked everything.
Yeah, I don't. There were a few times where I felt I was in a situation where I was not liking certain female characters. It's kind of what we touched upon before, where it's you call rom-com a rom-com if there's a female lead, and but you call it a comedy if it's a guy. And I think all rom-coms are comedy. They're romantic comedies.
Got your mom, you got your com.
But Tom Tom is such a bitch, but there's probably so many other reasons why she is, and I kind of you kind of identify those, I don't know, like the popular girl in school. You just hate her. You hate her because everybody likes her. And I don't want to hate somebody because everybody likes them. I want to be able to identify why they like them.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little redeeming.
But I guess it is very clear
Quality,
that
yeah.
she is not a very nice person, which is why. But yeah.
But also,
That's
if
what
there
you're
were, my thought is, if there was a redemption of sorts, it wouldn't make it so much more satisfying when she wakes up in her own world,
yeah.
because then it would be oh,
Right.
maybe that life isn't so bad. So I think everything really had to go to trash.
Had to be really
her
bad.
enemy had to
Yeah.
win. She had to lose it
Yeah.
all in order to really win.
I love that
Yeah.
she calls her a biatch in that last
Yeah.
scene when she
Biatch.
wakes up as a 13-year-old, because that's such an early 2000s like
And then she
thing.
says, she's like, what'd you call me?
yeah, which is so good. Which also so funny that now Jenna can live the rest of her life knowing what the future looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Like she could be
Yeah.
like, and they have these little things in their pockets that ring and people can talk to you.
Cellular telephone.
But like, if this is real life, people are gonna think you're absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, she would probably have to go to some therapy. Like,
Yeah, right.
there'd be some questions asked.
For serious. I just can't think of a bad thing about this movie. I think my favorite rom-com like trope is the best friend who's been there all along. Or at least I did when I was younger. When I was young, I was like, that's how it's gonna happen for me. I was like,
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I was
the
like,
best
I'm gonna have this
friend.
boy best friend, and he's gonna be in love with me, and I'm just not gonna see it until later.
One of my best friends grew up next door to me, and like, I think because of this propaganda bullshit, I was like, and then he ended up like selling me weed for the first time. Like, he was not somebody I wanted to.
So
I should have
it is
dated.
like this
And
movie.
it was like, just like, I remember like one day we were like jumping on the trampoline together, and like it was his trampoline, and I came home and my mom looks at me and she goes, "What's that face for?" And I go, "I think I love him." And I was like 9, and she was like, "Oh God, get inside." And I remember like the rest of my life, she kind of begged me to not date
love with
him.
him.
And I think the only relationship other than like being really good friends is like I bought weed from him.
What you didn't notice was that one of the times the weed had a ring in it.
I must have smoked it.
You're like, this one
Oh
sucks.
no! Maybe that's why my lungs really hurt.
My only note for this film, it's not even so much a note, is that I think that I love Mark Ruffalo, but I think that sometimes he can be a little too low energy for my liking.
Yeah.
And I don't
Well,
think...
he can't, because if he gets really angry or
You're
high
right, you're right.
energy, he'll
Oh,
turn into
yeah,
the
we're
Hulk.
getting green.
You're completely right.
You don't want to see him when he's angry.
No, I don't. But yeah, I mean, just as a whole, I felt like there was times where, like, when he was like excited about something, where like he didn't fully seem it.
Right.
Even
Maybe
doing
it was
like,
because he was depressed in New York.
I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of subtle things to it. Maybe it's a very layered Ruffalo performance, but at the end of the day, I just felt like
He wasn't matching the energy
It
of-
still had a little bit of that. He was charming as heck, and he was a lovely guy, but it still had a little bit of that low Mark Ruffalo energy, where he's kind of like thinking like, "Oh, when's lunch?" A little bit.
Where was that hot dog
Yeah,
from
and I,
20
and I
years
don't think
ago?
that's
Man,
anything
I wish
that
I
has,
had that hot dog right now.
I don't think it's anything that has to do with the film itself. I think it's strictly Mark Ruffalo's performance and
Sure.
how he is as an actor.
Yeah.
But it did affect the performance for me just a tiny bit.
Young Maddie is so cute in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
So cute.
What's
Like,
he up to these days?
oh God, I wonder. Let's take a little Google
I
break.
love looking at like child actors and where they are now.
So the 13-year-old girl, Becky, the neighbor, she was in Secret Life of the American Teenager,
No
Also
way.
in,
aka the worst
I
trash
was-
fire of a TV show.
I was also in a film with somebody from that.
from 13.
Secret,
I
from Secret.
can't
What?
remember.
Oh my
what
God,
it's
no,
called.
it's Secret Life at the American
Secret Life
Teenager.
of American Teenager.
Also, fun fact about do you guys know about the girl who played young Jenna? She played another young Jennifer Garner in
No
Ghosts of
way.
Girlfriends Past.
No way.
Oh.
That was her in that too.
Do you think that was like a little homage to
It's
13
on,
million? 13?
on Wikipedia, her Wikipedia page is she is known for playing the young Jennifer Garner role in both Ghosts
Hey
of Girlfriends
man,
Past
do you
and
guys
13
follow
Going on
Jennifer
30.
Gardner on Instagram?
No.
It is quite the treat. You
Is
should.
she- is she
yeah,
okay?
she loves making fun of like tabloids, but in a very wholesome Jennifer Gardner way. Like not a very trashy like screw the paparazzi.
Right,
like she
right.
just loves to poke fun because like I guess there's like one post that I remember where she sneezed and the paparazzi were like, still no answers as to why Jennifer Gardner has been sneezing these days. And then she was like, I think posted like some dramatic post like, I'm dying or something.
Good for her. That's
Good
very
for her.
funny.
Oh yeah, no, she's definitely 30, flirty, and thriving at this point.
Imagine seeing that headline in a magazine, being like Jennifer Garner sneezes again. Being like,
What would you say?
I gotta buy it.
What would you
tell me
guys
more.
say for like 40? You know, there's like 30, flirty, and thriving, like 40 shorty,
wearing shorties and
and sporty,
Dying.
and sporty.
Oh,
Oh, my
40
God.
and dying.
My grandmother said that the 30s are the best years of your life.
And as I get
What, you mean the
closer,
1930s?
as I get closer to my 30s, I'm honestly like, everything's gonna be better in my 30s. It's fine. I'm just gonna be amazing in my 30s. I'm gonna be like, you know how Mindy Kaling's just like fucking living right now?
Yeah.
That's gonna be me in my
She's
30s.
like, I'm 30. I'm gonna live.
Yeah, that's what I'm like trying to convince myself is gonna happen.
One day.
That's like Netflix has been just producing a lot of, and Hulu and Amazon Prime. Wow, but a lot of women like in their 30s who are now like living. They're posing more of a realistic reality.
Yeah.
Like the Russian Doll.
Yeah.
Natasha Lyonne is
Lyonne.
like figuring out her life and the purpose of it, and she's I think it's her 30th birthday.
It's her 30, but Natasha Lyonne is older than that. But I think
Right,
it's,
right.
it's
But
her
she can
30th
also play
birthday or
very young.
32nd, Yeah.
And there's a couple of TV shows that are kind of glorifying because I don't know, I feel like a lot of movies have posed that
the
you
20s
get your that meme where it's like it'll always be like a meme of some kid like hysterically laughing and the caption will be like, me when I was 10. When I'm 25, I'm going to be married, have kids, a house of my own, and a car. And then it's like me now, and it's somebody uncontrollably laughing. And I feel like, yeah, it is, especially nowadays, it is more realistic that we have our shit together past the age of 30.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like mildly, like our shit's like mildly collected right now in a pile.
So mildly. Yeah, I mean, my mom would have had, like, if I were my mom's age, I would have a second kid like on the way.
My mom actually had me when she was 40. She like didn't. She did it differently.
No,
Sexy.
I wasn't
Sexy.
joking.
God.
She's 64 now, and she's
I love
like,
that.
I have a 25-year-old daughter. We're celebrating my dad's 72nd birthday on Friday,
Wow.
and and he's like, well, I gotta keep up with my 25-year-old daughter, and I'm like, fuck yeah, you do. Like, let's smoke pot. A conversation I never thought I'd have with my dad.
Yeah.
He was like, so did you take my thing? I was like, take your what? He's like, my car key. He calls it his car key. It's his vape pen, his like oil pen that like my pot selling neighbor that my mother warned me about to never date sold to him.
Never fall in love with.
And now we're in love. And yeah, he was like, did you take that? And I was like, no, I didn't. And we like had like a little argument. He was like, you took my weed. I was like,
I had my own pop.
yeah, I was like, Dad, I did not spend $100 minimum for a delivery service to come to my doorstep in New York for me to just steal your toy, your car key.
Your car key.
Edward and I made a face at each other because we both went, like the same pitch in the same amount of
pitch.
time.
I would have
Strange.
appreciated it more if there was a bit of a harmony in there. So if you guys,
I think
know
there
what-
was.
I think
That's
it was
why.
the same noise.
I hope so when I play this back.
Yeah. When you play it back, it's just like, weed is illegal.
It's just like the government
Madison,
takes.
we're coming for you.
God.
If you smoke pot, you will die.
My parents would be very upset if they found out I exploited the fact that I'm a pothead.
What are your parents' names and addresses? And what
I can give you their social security if
Oh,
that
that-
helps.
Oh,
Great.
I
That's
guess only
quicker.
that. Yeah.
and
that's
also,
fine.
what church do they belong to, just to make sure
Right,
that
for
they
kicks.
know.
I will fully disclose to you my mother's blood type. I know it.
Oh, okay, cool.
It is AB positive.
All right.
I know you guys were curious.
Yeah,
Now
I was
we
trying
know.
to find out.
May I mirror Haley's sentence before and say, hot.
I wasn't like totally joking. I meant like, yeah, awesome. Look at her grabbing life
Yeah,
by the
grabbing-
fucking horns.
Yeah.
and
That's
having a
how I
baby
feel
at
about
40.
Yeah,
About
I'm 40.
AB
I'm gonna.
positive.
She did a lot in that year. Like she bought a house like with her own money that she earned. She like fixed it up herself and then was like, I'm having a fucking kid, and then had
Wow.
me. And then she stopped after that. She was like, that's enough.
That was too
I'm
much.
content
I had
with
a
the
crazy
one.
year. All done.
My dad already had 2 girls from a previous marriage, and he's like, all right, this is the 3rd one. We can stop here. And I was content. So back to the film.
Yes, back to
Oh,
the
yes,
film.
13 going on 30.
Back to the film. I did want to say I love finding kind of like dated humor in a lot of these, and my favorite ones were the fact that Judy Greer's character got a nose job, and that was like
Yeah,
a
that was,
huge
like, a big thing.
because that was such an early 2000 thing. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting a nose job, like
Jennifer
nose jobs
Garner's
and boob
character.
jobs.
Jennifer Garner's character did too.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
they had a
God.
subtle nod to that. Like yours looks better. So good. That and there's like the one scene where Judy Greer says it's like whatever, you're thin, you're hot, and I'm like yes, because in the early 2000s, thin was the only thing that mattered.
Literally, if you look at the cover of all of their magazines that they have, that they were like, that it was like when Jenna was like, "Who are these girls?" Like,
Yeah.
and they were all so thin and
Yeah.
like looked like they had like they needed help. They all looked like they needed a hug or something.
Yeah.
And the other bit of sort of outdated humor was the boss when he says something. I don't remember exactly what it was,
yeah.
but something about being gay, and she's like, "You're gay," and he just like hugs her and smiles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
No, he just like laughs. He's like, "Oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh."
And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Sure. Sure, Andy
funny.
Serkis.
That's especially funny too because it's just an 80s girl
Yeah.
who's like you're gay and this
Right.
is cool.
Yeah. Oh right, it was.
Yeah.
That like blows my mind that like there was a time when like it wasn't cool. But I feel like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a general unspoken rule that if you're like a douche about it, then you're just like a douche. Like
Right,
like
yeah.
no one's gonna like you.
Oh, I love that hot guy from when she's 13 and she finds out is
Oh,
like
my-
her
her
cab
cab
driver and he's like a
driver.
piece of shit.
Played by Jim
Oh my
Gaffigan.
God.
Yes,
Oh,
like
Jim
Jim
Gaffigan.
Gaffigan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very funny.
you were staring at the TV going, is that Jim Gaffigan? No, because it was
James
like he was
Gaffigan?
young enough where it wasn't like the
Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan we know.
Like he looked different enough than what he is like in the past.
like
Like
that was
7
probably
years.
a huge role for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That
Which
was
is awesome.
That was probably a good Kickstarter for his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Anything else? That's all.
I have a question.
Yeah.
That it's more of a philosophical thing that we don't really have to discuss for long. But my question is, and this is the case for 13 going on 30 and Big and Click and
Oh,
whatnot.
big. Good one.
But when you wake up in your own body 17 years later,
Sure.
what were you between the ages 13 and 29?
A bitch, apparently.
No,
Oh.
no, I know literally like that's what the character was, but in a subconscious or in like a conscious way. Because clearly,
You're not retaining any of that
well,
information.
you weren't that person. You were literally the person you were 17 an hour ago, and then you woke up and you were 30. So your consciousness jumped 17 years. So what were you? Were you possessed? For like
It's kind of
17
like on.
years?
I guess it was like probably in that movie Click where he's just like on autopilot.
But what does
But
that look
she
like?
was like cool and like popular, and everybody wanted to be. So I guess maybe.
But
I
did
don't-
she
I
have
think
like a
we're
dead
over
stare?
thinking
Well,
it.
she became what she was based on how her life was with 17 years, and this was just her 13-year-old self sort of taking that over.
Yeah, taking over that
She
day.
was, as someone who was possessed for a bit.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I could imagine it's almost like waking up from a really long nap, and you're like she probably like lived her life, you know,
Yeah.
according
But it
to
wasn't
the way
her.
that.
It was like
Well-
an italicized her.
Well, who we are today is based off of the experiences that we have.
No, I
in
understand
the
how
past.
time
So-
works. Yeah.
But so I guess she probably like faced all these terrible experiences that turned her into the nitty gritty person she is, and then like she kind of woke up and was just kind of like the reset
So
button was on.
it's more like she remembered who she was rather than
Yeah, but forgot everything
transported time-wise.
else. You know what?
I feel like we're
think there was
really
magic
overthinking
dust.
this.
I think it was just magic dust that like kind of was like, well, here we are.
Just saying.
You know what? This is fun because other than Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, another Jennifer Garner, we haven't really done like a fantasy element rom-com yet. And there's a bunch of those where it's like
There are,
Groundhog's Day-esque, or it's like,
Would you guys consider
waking
Shrek
up in a different
to be
body?
a rom-com?
oh my god, yes.
I watched Shrek
Yes.
today, and I was like, I remember it clicked for me that it is a fantasy, other than the fact that it is a talking donkey and an ogre. But it was like the montage where they're like falling in love, and he like blows up a frog and like ties a string to
Ties
it,
it
and
into
it's
a balloon, yeah.
magically floating, and then she blows the air into the snake and turns it into a balloon animal, and they both are floating. And in my the only thought in my head was like, that's not possible without helium. And basically, that
I
was
like how that was
the
one
only
thing.
logic that I was like conflicted with.
And you shut the movie off.
You're
And I
like,
I
I
just
can't do
I was
This
like,
is
I
not
can't do this
believable.
anymore. This is just.
Yeah, so that's 13 going on 30.
Sure.
We're going to
Sure
take a
is.
very brief break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to rate this for you. It's the meet
For
cute.
me. And we're back, folks. So let's rate this puppy. So we're rating this out of 1 to 5 razzles. So let's start out. Our first one is going to be chemistry.
Chemistry, yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
the chemistry between Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner. How do we feel?
I'm gonna give it 4 razzles.
4 razzles. Yeah.
Because of his underwhelming energy.
Yeah.
I will
Oh, you
say
would have given it 5?
I feel like it was maybe as equivalent as like him falling in love with a new pet. like
I'd watch that
what's that
movie
other
now.
movie with him and Reese Witherspoon where Reese Witherspoon's dead?
Yeah.
Just Like Heaven.
Just like heaven.
It's-
Can we
Oh,
do
I don't
Just
know
Like
that
Heaven at some
movie.
point?
You gotta watch it and then you gotta do a podcast about it. It's classic. But basically he's as underwhelmingly in love with her in that, and she's dead in the movie. So like as he is with a live woman in this movie.
I think it's less of like a pet and more like a friend's kid.
Or like
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't care
a
that much.
friend's kid. So maybe 3 razzles.
You know, I was gonna go close to 5, but because I didn't think anything of Mark Ruffalo's low energy. But now that you've pointed it out, I think I will give them 4 razzles. Yeah, that feels right. It was very strong, but you're right. Some of his energy was like didn't match hers.
Yeah.
In almost every rom-com with Mark Ruffalo, he has this defining moment in it where he's like, well, like they'll like be fighting and they'll be like, well, I don't know, you were this and now you're this and I don't know, and then he like needs like a good like week to think
Yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah.
He always just seems somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
I think
He
he's
is the
so
Hulk.
cute.
He's the Hulk and everything.
I think I love Mark Ruffalo. I'm like getting there.
I also give him 4 razzles for all the same reasons as we're saying. And it's, you know what? It's casting's fault at that point. He's great and he was wonderful and it's a near perfect film, but I do think that he took away from what could have been stronger chemistry. So a 4 for me as well.
But 4 is good, and 4
4
for me
is
as
good.
well.
Good.
But 4 is a good score.
Yeah.
Great score.
But just to
4 razzles
clarify,
too.
Yeah,
like 4 is, it was great, but it could have been better because
Sure.
of him.
could have had McConaughey.
Oh God,
That would have been
this
a
movie would
classic.
have been terrible with Matthew McConaughey.
I'm in New York
I'm sorry.
right now.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Classic.
We ended up enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, I
in
liked
that
it a
one.
lot.
Yeah, we like that one.
Yeah.
Dallas Buyers Club. Great.
That was not
top,
on our list.
Top rom-com.
Not on our rom-com list. What's the next one, Zach?
The next one is The Best Friends.
So who would we?
Yeah. So
I think the only one here would be Judy Greer.
yeah, this one's tough because it
Or
ends
Marsha
up
DeBonis.
or
Marsha
Marsha
DeBonis.
DeBonis. Yeah, I feel like this is one where we can kind of skew towards supporting cast because the best friend was Mark Ruffalo and the best friend ended up being the enemy.
Right.
It wasn't the classic
I would like-
rom-com where you just have like a sidekick.
I would like to talk about the friendship between Jenna and Becky. Kind of like a
Yeah.
young Jenna to older Jenna, the 13 to the 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would like to razzle that relationship a good razzle red 5.
Ooh.
That's a big razzle.
But are you
No.
averaging it out throughout the entire film? So The Best Friends.
For other best friends and the
So, like, how would you
other
do it?
supporting cast
Like,
roles.
what would be your overall rating?
I'd say that Jenna over the arc of her character development has definitely received a good 5 razzles with all of her friendships. I think she did. I think she bettered herself to her greatest capacity, and that's
Yeah.
all you can do to kind of better your relationships with people.
I'm gonna go 4 razzles, and yeah, I think I am and I can't quite figure out where that extra point goes away. I just feel like it's not perfect,
Right.
but
Maybe
it's
because
very
she's
good. You know what?
13.
4.5 because I do think even though it didn't have the traditional structure of like a sidekick for each character, all of the like minor cast members or supporting cast members were great. Like they all did their job. Like they didn't need to do anything else.
Judy Greer was for a majority of the film the
classic
quintessential
best friend.
Yeah.
And
Ooh, look at how cute that guy
yeah,
is. Like,
the secretary was
nose job.
a fun addition. Andy Serkis was so fun.
She was
the
her perfect.
13-year-old girl was so fun.
She was her perfect Judy Greer self.
Right.
Judy
Yeah.
Greer nails these roles.
Yeah.
For that, I'm giving it a 4. Like, I it could have been taken a step further for me, and I'm not counting the fact that she becomes the villain because that's not like, that's not what we're looking at as far as the plot. We're looking at
Not
the character.
what we wanted.
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it a 4. It was solid.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a 4 as well. Wow, we are doing
I
this
think
film
I was
right.
just feeling pretty positive there.
No.
Friendships.
No, I think
By
this is
all
gonna
means.
do real well. What's next? Romance?
Romance is next.
Romance. Now, this is different than the chemistry. It's not just the chemistry between the actors. It's the actual written romantic scenes. How romantic was it?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
3. Okay, that's a safe middle.
There was that one really romantic moment on the playground.
Yes, classic.
When they both kind of jump off the swing set and they but like, okay, so back then when I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, a playground overlooking the city skyline. And now I'm like, oh, a New York City playground, get off the ground.
Yuck.
You don't know what's in those wood chips.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Like he scoops his hand underneath her head to kind of support it up while he's like making out with her. And like when I rewatched it like a couple weeks ago, I was like, imagine if he just like scooped like a needle or something came up and he's like, what's that? It's just like a mouse. Like,
it's so funny because so many of these movies, it's like New York is the backdrop and it's this pristine, like sparkly version of New York. Yeah, I didn't even think of how gross that would actually be, but it was done, I think, very well, and I wasn't thinking about that, but now that I am, I can't get it out of my head. I don't know. I think this did a really good job of blending the com and the rom like pretty evenly. I don't know if I would go full. I don't know.
I think
this is tough.
I think it does come back to that. Is it a rom or is it a coming of age?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like it is more so of like self-discovery rather than, romance. I think the romance comes with self-discovery as blossomed romance does.
But it was more romantic than I remembered it being. Like, I was like, I don't think the romantic thing is such a huge part of the plot, but it was. Man, I don't know. I think I'm going to go 4.5 again because I really bought into those romantic moments. All of their, like, nostalgic, just, like, playing around. Oh, and she's, like, at the photo shoot and the leaves
I'm going to bump it up. Yeah, I'm going to, because there are moments where, Jennifer Garner can, like, just sell it. She's great.
Oh man, she
can
make anyone fall in love with her, I think.
Where she knows how to break a heart just like by getting that. It was a little scary how like she was able to embody a 13-year-old as a 30-year-old and like still break her hearts when she like went back home to mom and dad and like just like but I think I definitely I'm gonna bump my number up to a 4 because
nice. I gotcha.
Because of like the way she kind of reacts to Mark Ruffalo's underwhelming demeanor. She like falls more and more in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 3.5.
Okay.
But that honestly to me that sounds lower than how I feel, but it is where it lands for me. Is that I think is romantic. Him still having the dollhouse at the end.
Oh, that's
charming.
good.
Yeah.
And I actually think that her hiring him to do like the photo shoot and everything, a lot of romance came out of that.
Yeah.
Which I think is like
sweet.
Yeah, like so as a whole, I took it was solid for me. It was good. 3.5.
Great, Eddie.
3.5 as well. And good for this movie thus far for what we're.
Oh, this is gonna rate high.
I think it's like
can tell.
Jennifer Garner is like our mother. You know what I mean? We feel like we need to do good by her.
It was just it's so well
Good
done.
homage
This
to the
whole movie.
80s.
Comedy.
I'm doing it. A 5.
Whoa!
Wow. 5 razzles.
Whoa!
This movie was funny all the way through and sincere funny, not like rom-com funny, not like bad funny. This movie made me laugh several times and was a joy from beginning to end. I have no qualms in giving it a 5.
Encore for Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna join you with a 5 for comedy because truly I was never like, that was a bad attempt at a joke. Every joke they made was funny and it was just like situationally hysterical to see this girl who was like 13 stuck in the 80s going through life. Like, my favorite scene being the one like, that guy's totally scamming on you. And
Oh my God.
she sees the guy in a bar looking at her, but
Oh
she
my
passes the actual 30-year-old man and goes to a child at the diner
Who's like
booth.
eating French fries, and she's like, "Hi,
Yeah.
And
can I have some of your fries?"
She's like, "Do you want to go out?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Can you drive?"
And so many rom-coms we watch have what we've called in the past like fake comedy,
Mhm.
where it's like you think like them like trying not to knock over all the cakes,
Right.
And it's like it's so long, and they're just like doing whatever, and you're like, no one's laughing, like oh,
Or like some man had to dress up like a woman, and it's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's like
Whoa.
okay, but
Yeah.
this like I can't name a single moment of like that like fake comedy the entire time. It was all real, funny, and well done.
Yeah.
Even the sassy, bitchy back and forth between like the the female tension
Yeah.
like between editors, even that was like enjoyable and lovable.
It was great.
Also,
Put
how
some crab in your
funny was the
purse.
disgusting scene where Judy Greer pitched her version
Oh,
of the new
of
Poise?
And it was like all you hear is that music, the
Yeah. And it's just like heroin, drugs, skinny,
sex,
death, grunge. I'm like, this is disgusting.
the
I love
new
it.
face of Poise.
Yeah.
Heroin. She doesn't say that. Maybe she did.
Basically,
Yeah,
she's
basically.
like, overdose with our
Oh my
death.
God, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Jenna's is just like sparkly.
Yeah.
Sunshine
So
and
what
rainbows.
would we have 2 5s?
What
would
do you guys
give
think?
I'm
it?
gonna go for a 4.5 only because the other 0.5 is I didn't like. I guess for me with comedies, I need to like have a moment where I'm just like catching my breath. I think it's a little funny.
Uh-huh.
I need to have at least a moment in a comedy where I can be like, this is a good comedy because it made me like go haha for other people to hear. But this movie, I definitely found myself smiling a lot, and wasn't like one of my favorite things that I love about rom-coms is how almost soap opera-esque some can be.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like almost overly dramatic, and that's what makes it funny is because it's over dramatic. But this movie was very honest, which I think just kind of kept a smile on my face the whole time, which made me susceptible for more laughter. But I wasn't exactly gut laughing.
Right.
I think maybe when I first saw the movie, when the guy
when you were like a kid.
did the striptease, I think I probably thought that was hilarious.
That scene is so funny because
actor
he's
is
an
really
ice
funny. I don't
hockey
know who he
player,
was.
And she's
and
like,
he's
ew.
so into ice hockey that he dances to Ice Ice Baby. That's so stupid.
so
Count
funny.
me in.
Okay, I would like to say, as a 25-year-old now, I still kind of laugh the way she did when he he kissed her neck for the first time, and she like let out this big character like snorting laugh, like, and like I think I still do that. If anyone just like goes for my like even tries to touch my neck, I think I let that out shamelessly.
Edward?
4.5 as well.
Oh, this movie's gonna do so well.
Yeah,
Yes.
just to echo a lot of the things Madison said, like it is a very funny movie. I wish it were funnier.
It's still really good,
but it's
though.
still no, yeah,
That's
yeah,
still a
exactly.
really
it's
high
still
score.
a very high score. So good for this film.
So let's calculate this and see what we get.
How many razzles we all have to eat?
Yeah, I do remember getting razzles because of this movie with my best friend Melissa at the time.
So this film gets
Wow.
17 out of 20
Wow.
razzles, or 8.5 out of 10 razzles,
That's so many
Wow.
razzles.
or
That is razzle red.
85%
Of
of
a
a
razzle.
razzle.
Wow.
Guys,
That's our highest score.
This is
right?
our highest
That
one.
has to be.
And
The
it-
30th
for
episode.
the third, and it couldn't deserve it more. Good job, 13 going on
Yay.
30.
Well done.
All right, we did it. This was our last episode.
It's all downhill. We got one more thing for you guys. We got a fun game we're playing. It's everybody's favorite game. It's the match shame.
The match shame.
So this is how it's going to work. We all wrote down 3 embarrassing, weird, regrettable things we did around the age of 13. And we're going to each take a turn being the matcher, if you will. We're going to take 3. We're going to mix them up. We're going to read them out loud and try to guess which of the other 3 those events belong to.
Nice.
So who would like to go first?
I'll guess first. So I'm
Okay.
gonna close my eyes and you guys put your slips in my hands and I'm gonna read them and we're gonna guess.
All righty.
Okay. So we had our roommate Aisha write this down so we wouldn't have any handwriting issues.
Yes. There's no bias here. We don't
No
know
bias
whose
here.
is whose.
Okay. I proclaimed I was too cool for seeing the third Harry Potter movie until my mom made fun of me and made me cry.
Oh.
I'm going to read each of them and then guess.
Oh.
Practiced kissing on my hand. Classic. Classic.
The best makeout buddy.
Made my Facebook profile picture a still of Jonah Hill and Michael Cera in Superbad.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm
That's
gonna guess.
not that embarrassing.
I'm gonna guess that that's Zach. I'm gonna guess that that's Zach. I'm gonna guess that Madison practiced kissing on her hand, and I'm gonna guess that Edward was too cool for seeing Harry Potter 3. How'd I do?
You hit Zach on the head.
You hit Madison right on the
yes,
head.
right
or
on the
hand.
head.
I did it perfectly.
You nailed it.
I
3
like.
for 3.
I still practice kissing on my hand.
One day you'll
I
perfect it.
didn't know Zach when he was 13, but from who you were when you were like 14 or 15 and I was too cool to talk to you, that makes a lot of sense to
Yeah.
me.
Oh, yeah.
There's my profile picture.
Hysterical. All right, who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
My hands are open. My eyes are closed. So, here we go. I fully did ballet moves on the dance floor at my best friend's bat mitzvah. Practice kissing on my Jonas Brothers posters.
I have no idea who did that one.
A lot of kissing practice.
Look.
In class, I reached down to grab the lunchbox I kept under my desk. Instead, I grabbed the leg of the popular girl behind me. And I kept my hand there for a very long time. For a very, very long time. Madison, I think you practiced kissing on your Jonas Brothers.
You know
poster.
what? I'm guilty, but you know what they say? Practice makes perfect.
Sure does.
But I don't know who they are because I didn't get to practice on anybody.
We could
other
ask-
They
than
were two-dimensional paper figures.
We could ask your hand.
She's great.
Haley, I think you did ballet.
I sure did. Like,
was it sincere?
Like, I thought I was being so funny, but looking back, I think that has to be the worst thing I've ever
Was
did.
it like the parents made you do it? That's like the worst
No,
when the parents
no,
make you perform.
I thought
No,
it
I
was
think it's worse now
so
that you
funny.
wanted to. Wait, so you did it as a gag,
Yeah,
but it came across as earnest?
probably.
Yeah, I thought you meant like you were trying to show off.
Like, it was probably a combination of both. Like,
Yeah.
to be fully honest.
As like young children performers, did you guys also fall into the little rut of where your parents would try to get you to perform like at family parties?
No, I fully did it
No.
on my own accord.
Oh, good. I was the kid who would like cry because my mom would be like, "You need to Irish dance in front of all these people at like another child's birthday party." And I'd be like, "I don't think this is what they want, Mom."
This
And
is
she's
not
like,
their
"People
present."
Not the
want to see you
entertainment they're
succeed."
looking for.
Luckily, I wasn't in any kind of like performance aspect until I was like 15, so it didn't really count.
If you're a parent and you're listening to this,
Don't
I
force
hope you're
your
having
kid.
a great night.
Yeah, sorry.
Also,
And
also don't do that.
yeah.
So obviously this last one.
Edward, you grabbed that girl.
I grabbed that girl's. I think about that twice a week.
I feel like you probably relate the most to the show Big Mouth.
Yeah.
I honestly think about my regrettable balletic performance all the time, where I was like doing
Yeah.
full tourgetés in the middle of the spot mitzvah.
Tourgetés.
Yes, bitch.
Yeah.
In the middle of this
Hot.
dance floor in my little like black and white polka dot dress.
I think about the super bad profile picture a lot, but what I think about more is that I really this is so fucked up. I really love the film Funny Games when I was 15.
Oh wow! I've
fair.
seen that like a good like 4 times.
It's a very good movie,
sadly.
but it's very upsetting.
It's
Yeah.
And I
very
really liked
upsetting.
it. And I thought I was like cool film boy, so I made the poster for that my profile picture for a bit. And I'm pretty sure anyone who looked at it was like, "Wow, what a serial killer!"
Yeah.
He wants to kill people.
Yeah.
movie
In their
is
homes.
like I remember I like, you know, those movies that you watch for the first time and like you kind of see how dark the world can be and you need like a day afterwards. It's like the first time you were that movie that was one of them, but I remember I kept watching it. Like I watched it over and over again because
Yeah.
I was like, I have to see how messed up the world can be. But the one movie that like really did me in was The Butterfly Effect.
Oh, that movie's so.
I've never seen
I
it.
had
never
to like.
seen it.
I remember being on the playground the next day. Ashton Kutcher, great film. I remember being on the playground the next day, like isolating myself from everybody because I couldn't stop thinking of this like one scene with the dog in
I don't remember exactly.
something bad happens to the dog, and anyway, that's where that took me.
That movie is,
I blacked out.
I saw that so young, and I remember thinking like, this is gonna change me, and I think it did a little. Like, that movie's so dark.
And Funny Games is upsetting.
Yeah, funny.
Truly upsetting. So good though.
So good.
Madison, do you want to go?
Yes, I will go.
Oh God.
Okay. Also, did anybody else practice kissing? Their Jonas Brothers
I have
posters?
yet to.
I
One day I would
didn't-
like
I
to
didn't-
kiss somebody.
I'm trying to. I think there was yeah, I practice kissing. That's all.
My coach
Let's
is
not pretend, all right? We're all
Yeah,
human
yeah.
here.
my coach is coming over in a bit, actually, so we can wrap this up.
Oh my god. All right. So, embarrassing things you did when you were 13. Okay, first one. Told people at camp my dad is the wrestler Chris Jevico.
We'll find out.
Jevicho.
That's hysterical.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's
The more you know, y'all.
so
the more you know.
stupid.
Is this mine? I read the lyrics of a Christian rock song out loud to my English class as a part of a project. I read the lyrics of La Vie Boheme from Rent out loud to my 6th grade language arts class, word for word, and I had to go to the principal's office. Anyway,
I love that.
I had to
actually.
explain what the word dildo meant to, and I didn't even know what it meant, but they say that in the song. Anyway, I would run across my cafeteria flailing my arms in the air to be funny.
This is hard.
This
'cause
one's hard, you guys.
This is a tough round.
Because, like, okay, I'm going to try to go with, like, process of elimination, see which one I think is the most Ed. Because I know Ed the most. Did you tell people that your dad was this wrestler?
I wish.
Oh, my God.
That's so funny. I don't know
my
who that is,
God.
but that's so
I'm gonna
funny.
say the sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho. I went through
Jericho.
a
I should have known that.
brief phase of.
Oh, that's an R. Sorry.
yeah.
It looks like
Oh,
a
yeah.
V.
A brief phase of watching wrestling in middle school, and I told everyone at camp that he was my dad.
That's so funny.
So weird.
I'm going to
Yep.
say Ed would run across the cafeteria.
No,
Wow.
twice
I turns out I
wrong.
don't know you at
You
all.
lost.
I don't know me at all.
It's
You're
Haley.
losing this game.
So
It was
okay,
me.
so Haley would run across the cafeteria flailing her arms
Sure
in
would.
the air. Was it
Would you
ballet
like to
as well?
see?
I
No. Would you
love
like to see?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm gonna
do
This
a
is
live-
an
a
audio
live
medium, but
comment-
here we go.
a
This is
live
exactly how I did it.
Okay, this is,
Yeah, I
This
want to
is
know.
good.
So make the
oh,
noise,
she's they're the wires. Okay.
So it was from
because I know you would make a noise. I'm
There she
sure.
goes.
the gymnastics movie with that.
Cadet Kelly.
No.
Oh.
I would literally run across. Saw it like this.
Yeah.
Or was it this?
In case you're wondering.
It was this. I remember it was this.
Wow, that's like doing the Bernie but while running and looking forward.
What movie is this from?
Wow. What is?
It was that gymnastics movie.
Bring it on.
Wait, I know it. Stick it. Yes.
Yeah, she did that.
Wow.
the,
Yes.
like, thing.
Oh, when she snapped her bra strap out, she's like, "I'm a girl doing gymnastics and I wear a bra." And like,
God,
and I
that movie's
remember,
good.
I remember like knowing a gymnast at the time. She was like, "This is just so not correct. Like, gymnasts have discipline; these girls don't." And then I guess Ed read the lyrics of a Christian rock song out loud to his English
You bet.
classes.
I feel like I could have guessed that one.
I
Was
could-
you?
You bet.
I was gonna guess that one was you, and I was like, nah. I need to like switch. I
He's
don't trust
cooler
myself.
than that.
It turns out I don't trust myself, but turns out I know nothing, and I have a whole world ahead of me to
right.
learn.
All right,
about.
Eddie, open up those little palms.
My little knucks.
I hope you can hold all these papers with those small.
Eddie Knuckles, open up those little knucks.
Hey, they don't call him Eddie Knuckles for nothing.
Oh man.
All right, let's open up this first one.
I love the way you're holding that microphone.
Oh, it's a funny one.
Gosh, wonder who this could be.
Uh-oh.
Practice kissing. On my 6 foot tall Edward Cullen cardboard cutout.
Who
I feel
could that be?
I'm upset.
Had to perform the "We're All in This Together" dance from High School Musical, literally right in front of my bully.
Could also be me.
Boy. And my mom chased me outside because I wouldn't let her pop my pimple.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna guess.
Wild guesses here,
A
everyone.
wild guess that Madison practiced kissing on her 6-foot-tall.
Listen, you guys, listen.
That's how I got my first date. Is because
great
my name
time.
was Edward.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've
from
previously
Twilight.
talked about how that worked for him.
Yeah.
Did you tell,
Like in high school
girls
years.
that you would watch them while they would sleep
I do that now,
and dream of eating their flesh?
and they do not like that. They don't. Zach, do you not like that?
Do you
When
do that to me?
While you sleep, sorry. Yeah.
Because the checks keep coming for you, so just keep doing me right, baby.
I'd like to hope that, Zach, yours is you performed the We're All in This Together dance in front of your bully. Is
You
that-
nailed it.
Yeah.
Was that for Movapah?
Yep, we did the All This Together dance. I had Lucas Graybeel's solo, and
Oh, baby, that's so cute.
I forgot the words. And then we, at the end of, for the last
So you
chorus,
were Ryan?
Yeah, I was Ryan.
We're
Wow.
here, and we're in the same voice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't
Do you
know
remember
that.
the dance?
Of course.
Yes.
Well, here's how the bully thing happened.
Sure.
We were doing the dance on stage, and then at the end, the 4 soloists jumped down into the audience and did the dance.
Yikes.
And where I landed was maybe 3 feet away, like
3 feet.
strip club style, with the boy who bullied me for 3 years and then part of high school.
Who was he? Name names.
Shame
Hockey
on
with
you.
your brothers.
Yes. Yeah, that adds up.
Super mean dude.
What? Yeah. You guys are the worst, but they're the
If
ones
you're
we want to
listening.
date.
No, most of the hockey boys were so nice,
It's
and
true.
I stand by that. Hockey boys are nice. Hockey boys are nice, and
They're
they're hot, and they
wholesome.
have good hair.
Was like notoriously like just like a mean
I can't remember
dude.
his
They-
face
they-
for the
they
life
get
of
more-
me.
He dated
They get more oxygen to their brain from all their missing teeth.
There we go.
Allow
exactly.
more
They
air
just
to kind
suck
of come in.
Suck it in. Yeah.
I will edit the part where he because I still like her.
also
and
edit the
she's a
part where I
family
said
No, that's going in.
no, we'll bleep that over.
Yeah. Can you actually bleep it? That'd
Yeah,
be funny.
sure.
yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're not
Okay.
gonna.
No, we'll keep this. Anyway, I guess Haley, could you give us some context about your mom chasing you around?
Yeah, my mom was so mean about my changing body. First off, I had, I mean, I still do have a mustache. It's fine. But I started getting like unibrow status, eyebrows like real early,
Girl.
and the mustache coming in
The
like real
mustache.
early, like before anything else. Like I had like a full mustache and a unibrow before I had boobs. And the pimples, and she was so like, she made me feel so ashamed of my changing body, but she would like truly like be like, let me pop that pimple, let me pop it, and was chasing me across the fucking lawn, and I was running away from her until she pinned me down in the yard.
Oh. See, my mom would yell at me to not pop them. She'd be like, your face
yeah.
is going to scar and you're going to get ugly.
Oh, well, now you have beautiful skin, and my mom
She-
was popping my pimples.
Well, my mother, it wasn't even that. She just like made me terrified of aging. She would just sit there and
Oh,
like
God.
rub SPF 100, which is practically just mayonnaise on my face. And she would repeat this mantra that like I guess at the time was cute, but now it's not. And she would just like rub it on my skin and be like, Mr. Sun's not gonna get my girl.
Oh, I hate that.
And I am freckle free because of Kim Coppola.
Because Mr. Sun
That's so
didn't
funny.
get your
Yeah, we didn't have sun fears due to our Italian origins in my family, but that also gave me a super mustache and a super unibrow real early.
Them thick hairs with 2 C's. and
Yeah,
thick.
for sure. And I remember me and my cousin Maggie, who was also my neighbor, just like being children locked in the bathroom, like naring our
Naring.
mustache.
Naring.
Not even naring. We were bleaching our mustache back then. We weren't taking it off yet. And I remember Maggie thought it was so funny, and I was so embarrassed. I don't know why. I was just so embarrassed of
Yeah.
like
Of like facial hair.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take it off, but I was embarrassed by it.
Oh, I was like, I was that person who like I took a razor to my lip, to my like in between my eyebrows,
Oh,
to my
wow.
chin. But I was like, I was like 13.
Yeah.
So that's probably something I,
only
should have written down.
started-
Well, I practiced kissing when I wasn't doing that. I was shaving my upper lip.
Only started shaving my legs because other girls were talking about it, and I was like, I don't really want to, but I guess I'm supposed to.
I was like,
I don't know.
Yeah, and then
I would have gone until I
there
was
was like
probably
a
15.
huge stigma around shaving. Like when somebody started shaving their legs, you knew, and it was like, oh, so and so started shaving, and I remember I was too ashamed to ask for like a new razor. I like remember like my dad was like, he was like, we were at the store. He's like, Madison, do you need new razors? I was like, can I? I was like, yeah, the one I have now has rust on it. And he was like, would you like a new one? I was like, please. And then that was the day I realized you can't shave with a rusty razor.
Nina Reichenberg is like the reason I started shaving my legs, because she was like in gym class, like looking at her legs, like obsessed. She was like, oh, I totally need to shave. And I was like, I
adult
guess
things that
if
adults
she
say.
needs to, I need to. And she's like one of my very good friends now, but that's so funny. I remember the shame of it because Nina Reichenberg was on the gym floor like examining her legs.
Her very shiny legs.
Yeah.
I had a friend, a very Italian girlfriend who had, I guess, one of those days where she just like found like got a razor and just like went to town on her Italian self. She shaved like her lower back, and like to this day she has like stubbly lower back hair because she like started shaving it.
I don't have
No, I
back
mean like
hairs.
if you just like feel around your body. I don't have back hairs either, but like everybody has peach fuzz, and I guess she felt the
hers
peach
were-
fuzz.
oh,
She was like, I'm
no.
gonna shave this peach fuzz. Everybody knows if you shave some peach fuzz, it's gonna start growing back a little thick.
Oh wow.
And
I'm so glad I didn't do that.
Yep.
I'm so glad I never shaved my arms too, and I have very hairy arms, and I know there were a lot of girls who did shave them. Who cares?
A
Whatever.
dermatologist told me too. They were like, you have bad skin, and the more hairy your arms are, the more you're gonna get bumps. So then
Oh my God.
I had to start shaving my arms like per dermatologist orders, and then I got made fun of in school for shaving my arms, and then like being like, no, a doctor told me to, and everyone was like, sure,
Mr.
a
Sun's gonna
doctor-
get me if I don't.
You guys haven't heard of Mr. Sun? He's gonna get me. That's like
Oh, man.
also if you were about to like do something bad in my family. Oh God, this like explains so much. Like they had a saying in my family, which is like, let's say like Ed is like playing on something that he's not. My grandma would be like, Ed, the man is coming, and you would immediately just stop what you're doing because this man was coming.
Well, that's
and it
scary.
made
I
me
don't
like
like that.
terrified of men growing up.
That's a valuable lesson.
That's another episode for another time on my channel, which is Dark and Mysterious.
Childhood
And that's
stuff
it.
being
Well,
dredged up.
This has been truly a blast. So fun. Madison, thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
Please take this opportunity, plug your social medias, plug what you're doing, where we can find you.
Yes. My plugs. Let's go shamelessly. You can find me on any social media platform under Madison Coppola, except for Twitter, which is my alias account to something I created called Overheard Audition Room. Which is I just like will like live post stupid comments that actors will make in
Oh, I
audition
love
rooms.
that.
My Instagram is at Maddie Luhu, MADILOUHOO. And yeah, my profile is open to the public, so hit that follow, give me a like.
Smash that like button, baby.
And then I normally will post on social media if I'm performing in anything. I recently just tried my hand at stand-up, and it went very, very well. So hopefully, next time you talk to me, I will be a little funnier.
Do a quick 40-minute set for us real quick.
Yeah,
quick
quick
40.
40.
Quick
Just a quick
tight
40,
40.
no intermission.
Real
Yeah.
loose 40.
Your suggestion is peanut butter.
Yes.
For all of us here at the Meet Cute, thanks for listening. If it's your first episode or your 30th, or you put this on by mistake and then broke all your appendages and were like, I have to listen to
you
it.
thought this was two dope queens, and you just started listening. You're like, this is terrible. Anyway.
There's 4 of them.
And only one's dope, and I think she's the guest. The regular hosts suck. Either way, thank you for listening. That's very nice of you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show. You're the best. For all of us here at the Meet Cute, I'm Zach.
I'm Haley.
I'm Edward.
Love is a battlefield.